Greetings, my good people. Today we'll be talking about vision. So it's on vision. Now, there's literal vision. For example, we see natural beauty and human beauty, and that's worth reflecting on for a minute. So, the natural beauty can be very inspirational, and obviously, the romantic poets of England spent a lot of time on natural beauty, like Wordsworth especially. And yes, that can be very important for the inner life. In fact, it can furnish us with a expanded sense. Like, for example, Wordsworth's I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. He uses the scene of the natural imagery, and he uses that when he's on his settee at home, and he images forth the daffodils waving in the breeze from an indoor environment, and that sort of imaging forth the splendour of the natural world and almost a secularization of the interior life, but it's still worthwhile. It's something that's important. And then we have human beauty, and human beauty is linked a lot with romance and ideas, or going lower, ideas of sexual attraction. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ideal of human beauty, and like, for example, in the sculptures of ancient Greece, like in the Aphrodite of Cyprus and things like that. And yes, we have painting and photography, which is linked to this. So painting, you can have a fine landscape, like if you think of the romantic painters, like Constable or Turner, painted these landscapes, or photography. And photography can be very important. And again, in terms of human beauty, we see that very clearly in photography. For example, in the going far back to like the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, you can see sort of classic photography of like the nascent film stars and things like that, and it's all very very impressive and sort of nostalgic, and it creates a certain effect in the mind. And linked to this is Neoplatonism, because in a critical work on poetry in the Renaissance, Sir Philip Sidney said that he was talking about poetry in this instance, but he said that the imagery used by the poet is closer to the ideal form than the thing itself, because unlike Plato's theory that art was imitation of nature, Sir Philip Sidney argues in this that art copies the ideal form itself, so it's like an alternative nature or even a superior nature. And it's very important for thinking of photography. For example, like I had on Facebook recently I was talking about an essay by Susan Sontag on Plato's cave in relation to photography, and I had an image of Mary Pickford, who was the famous film actress from the silent era in Hollywood, and the 10s and the 20s in Hollywood. And yes, it can show forth human beauty in a more abstract manner, and that helps towards an understanding of beauty in spiritual terms, helps towards a heightened understanding of beauty. So painting and photography can be very important in that regard. And then we have, aside from literal vision, we have creative vision, and that's using the imagination, the inner realm of meditation. So creative vision, of course, can draw on art, on the art forms, the visual arts, and creative vision is also about, it's like the architect must have a creative vision. It's something very creative. The sculptor must have a creative vision, and it's all about the inner realm, really, and what exists in the inner realm. And this brings me on to intellectual vision, which is related to the via negativa, for example, and also the world of ideal forms and the real existence of universals as well. Because in the Middle Ages, of course, there was a fight between realism and nominalism. And nominalists held that universals don't exist, they're only signs used in language. And that's the view that came to predominate. And obviously now we're all nominalists, or at least the mainstream thought is nominalist. But realism is actually makes more sense to me, and the real existence of universals. So without talking about Platonic forms necessarily, but the idea of the ideal form of something that has real substantive existence and intellectual existence as opposed to sensual existence. And I think that's very important. And so if we tie all this together, then we have literal vision, creative vision, and intellectual vision. And obviously art plays an important role in those, but so does meditation and contemplation and spiritual practice. And it all really speaks to the spiritual side of man. And even something like human beauty, which is often debased in the modern world. We see so much cheapness in the modern world, like Page 3 in The Sun and stuff like that, which isn't about beauty at all. It's just about titillation and the lowest form of stimulation, also in the pornography industry. It's just the lowest form of mental stimulation, and it's not got anything to do with art or beauty. So art and beauty have universally recognised standards, and really the creative vision of art is very important for understanding this. And so that ties them all together, really. And when we think about vision, it's obviously often used as a metaphor, and that's what we mean when we talk about intellectual vision. It's a metaphor of literal vision, but we can use an inductive method, as I've mentioned before, like Bonaventure's method in Journey of the Mind to God, where he rises from sense things up towards the intellect. And that's really the point of turning literal vision into metaphorical vision. And obviously leads on to great spiritual things. But yeah, that's today's video. So thanks for watching.